Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. Been working on some cool new things lately, and I just have a very quick little update here for today. We're finally in the month of August, so hopefully some exciting things coming out for everybody. At the very least, exciting things from my perspective coming out this month. So that's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, we'll kind of get into that a little bit. Some crazy stuff happening out there in the world of crypto. We saw this Solana/GitHub hack going on. Tons of bridge hacks continue to be an issue, continue to be problematic for the industry. So I do want to talk about that a little bit. And then just to kind of wrap things up, we've been putting out some new articles and news and opinions and our perspectives on a lot of things. So I do want to talk about that briefly. But yeah, so just kind of getting into it, I suppose kind of the big thing that I do want to dive into here is, Solana. We've seen a kind of crazy attack happening on Solana, and from my perspective, it kind of does seem like a lot of this is going to be traced back to some kind of GitHub or some kind of attack on the actual wallet software itself. But I think that it's kind of an important topic to address because I think it's a good perspective on where crypto blockchain companies kind of differ from more traditional banks and things like that. So essentially what's going on here is, as every industry wants more adoption, customer experience is kind of king. So a lot of companies in our space, just like they do in banking, they push a lot of effort into the customer experience, and that's going to be constantly weighted against security, right? Because security is going to kind of maybe oftentimes diminishes customer experience, and it works conversely too. And in banking, it's great, right? You've got these, password, username, 2FA, things like that. You have credit cards with, thumbprints on your phone and things like that for security. But at the end of the day, with banking, there's insurance. There's FDIC insurance. With credit cards, there's credit card fraud as a whole industry, employing tons of people and effort and things like that. And I think that you really have to look at when the crypto space is pushing towards adoption, they definitely have to focus on customer experience, and there is going to be oftentimes a trade-off in terms of some aspects of security. But frankly, our space is a lot smaller than traditional finance. There's not the same number of people there, and at the same time, there's not the same level of things like insurance and things like that can come in case something does go wrong. And I think that you really have to look at what's going on in our space when it comes to things like the Solana attack and things in that direction. It's just these are efforts of our industry to improve the customer experience, to hopefully push us more towards adoption. But the trade-off is there, and it really needs to be kind of looked at. And I think it's something that we constantly look at. Our team does constantly look at these issues. And I think that as we continue to evolve as a space, we're going to learn more difficult lessons just like this. Plus, hopefully with some, good efforts, there could be new industries that pop up alongside us, things focused on, insurance and fixing issues that could potentially come up and helping people offset that. But yeah, there's things that could come there, and I think it's a good focus. It's a good mindset to have of how we should be looking at the space for possible improvements. And this kind of goes hand in hand with these bridge attacks. So that's another good one. That's a honeypot. So you're working with a bridge to kind of bridge tokens from one chain to another, and that typically does create a bit of a honeypot or a big repository of funds that are sitting in one spot that could potentially be subjected to concentrated attack efforts. And that's an issue. You don't want people working at one same issue to try to attack it. You want that issue to be, or I should say, you don't want teams of attackers able to focus on one problem to solve for too long, because there's smart people out there. There's new things that are discovered constantly. And if things stay still and stay fixed in that way, what it basically means is there could be issues discovered that are unknown in the future. Things could be changed and updated that could make those vulnerable. So I think that's a big consideration when it comes to bridges. And it's something that we consider constantly as well. So up to is coming out. That's kind of no shy thing we're talking about here. Up to is certainly coming out. We're doing a lot of crazy stuff there with up version 2. That's going to allow us to do things like access some of the liquidity that's available to up. And I would consider that really not too dissimilar to how a bridge operates today. So a bridge does have this repository of funds and it's minting out something on a different blockchain. We're essentially doing that, but on the exact same chain. So obviously we can make the security rock solid in terms of the smart contract itself, but there are things that can be done to further improve. And I think it's something that everybody that operates any kind of wrapping or liquidity or wallet solution out there is, what can I do to improve this? So for us, we've seen it as, hey, look, taking these funds and making them available to be, for example, staked, or for example, tied up in liquidity and things like that, that actually does improve the security because it diversifies it, it puts it into new sections of the ecosystem. It provides additional layers there, and though security was always pretty solid because there was no way to extract the funds, this is just a nice further extension of that. That's just a nice further extension of that. And I think this is going to continue to be a direction that we grow in, is what else can we do as up continues to evolve, because it will, because it should, because that's how you keep your security high. We're going to continue to see more and more improvements come in. What if we start to bridge up to additional blockchains? What if we start to see additional assets tied up inside of the ecosystem? What do we do to kind of address those issues? And I think it's kind of a big piece of how we think, and that's why I like to bring up things like these Solana attacks or bridge attacks, because they're parts of our ecosystem that people really need to see as reliable, solid pieces of infrastructure, but they're not exactly designed the same as we see in traditional finance. So with that being said, the kind of last thing that I do want to talk about is it kind of goes hand in hand here, and that's this article we put out recently, or that I kind of wrote up called APR is Dead, just basically talking about this concept of what do people actually want in the crypto space? Do they actually want an APR? Do they actually want some return? And I think that the answer is kind of no. I think everybody would universally disagree with me on that subject, but if you look at the numbers, I think that the number one thing that people want in our space is security. They don't want to risk funds. They don't want to risk loss. They don't want to risk exposure to something that they don't know, or that the space doesn't know or have the ability to explain properly, such as impermanent loss. They want to be able to be to work in a space with known risks, where they can kind of mitigate those themselves and continue to build off of. And I think that's been a real focus of how we operate. It goes back to that Solana attack we've seen with likely GitHub involved. It goes right back to bridge attacks and kind of how those things operate. And I think that people are not as focused today on immediate short-term gains as they are on how can I continue to operate in this space, participate in a blockchain or a DeFi system or something, earn some kind of return, but not be subjected to these unknown risks. And so that kind of comes down to a big piece of what we've been saying here a lot. And you've all seen this as, not your keys, not your crypto. But if you go back far enough into the space, the kind of concept there was be your own bank, right? And the be your own bank space really does mean that you should have your own keys, yes, but I think that you should also be very mindful of of who has access to those keys. If you're providing access to a smart contract to approve the use of funds, that is providing some amount of access that we should be aware of. At the same time, I would say a savings account probably doesn't exist in our space. Maybe something along the lines of a Circle with USDC. I would say that kind of is to some extent a savings account. You could call to some extent like staking is maybe a form of a savings account, but I think that this is something that our space doesn't have today, because with staking, you do have to remove those assets from your account to actually stake them, so you no longer have custody of those. So could be considered a savings account, could not. And I think that these are parts of the space that the industry should be more focused on, is how do we keep things as safe and secure as a bank without subjecting people to these unknown risks of wallet attacks or bridge attacks and things like that. So just kind of a quick little update here, guys, on just some of the news that's been out there and kind of my thoughts on what's going on. And I did want to touch base. A lot coming this month. We're constantly talking about that. Some of us are actually going to be doing a bit of a roadshow starting on the 15th. So super excited about that. We're going to go out to see a lot of our partners, such as I think several blockchain partners, as well as some of our non-blockchain partners, just to kind of talk a bit about our company and where we're going next, what's in store for the future. And that whole roadshow is basically going to end with us participating with the Moonclave event that's coming up here in the middle of the month. And then from there, we're kind of hoping for that to kind of come out publicly and talk more about what we're building and what we're working on next for the future of the space. So guys, with that being said, I'm looking super forward to the rest of the month, talking more and more about what's going on. And I hope you all have a great week and stay safe with your crypto and stay involved with the news and pay attention to what's going on, because things are constantly changing, guys. So thank you all so much and have a great week.